who's your like biggest inspiration for boxing? Because I know it ties into this. Like, you started boxing.
Obviously, boxing was from my cousin, innit? Because he, like, that's obviously you got boxers you watch and you look up to. But when I think back to like my first memories of boxing, it's because I used to see him do it. When you see someone, it's basically my brother, innit? I don't call him my cousin. It's basically my brother. Like, so it's like my older brother. I see him doing well in boxing, and I went to it. I only saw one of his fights, his last fight. I saw him knock the guy out, and then I must have been about 16 then, and that's when I thought, if he can do it. And I want to do the boxing, and then that's where I thought, and then it was COVID though, so from 16 to 18, I couldn't really train. I could have probably had about 10 fights then. I could have had about 20 fights by now if it wasn't for the COVID. So then there was the COVID, and I stopped, and then as soon as I hit 18 and everything opened up again, that's when I got back on it. I was like, but it was my cousin initially, because when you see someone around you doing something positive and doing well, it's kind of, it makes you want to do it more. But if you're talking about boxers, like I watch like Shakur Stevenson. I don't know if you heard of him. Billy Joe. I'm a southpaw, so I box the opposite way. So I watch a lot of southpaw boxers. I don't look up to them as people, but I look up to them as like their boxing style.
And
in terms of just people, it'd be Khabib. Like his mentality, anyone will tell you, any Muslim anyways, everyone looks up to him. Like his mentality, the way he acts, the way he balances.
Fearless, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fearless. And you need to be. You know, this day and age, you need to be fearless, like humble. And he knows what he wants. You know, he knows.
He's got good role models, man.
With
me, my inspiration was like my uncles.
My
uncle Zaid, he was my inspiration, man. Big inspiration for me. And then after that, in terms of boxers, I used to look up too much to Floyd Mayweather. And I
remember when we trained. You look like you have that.
Yeah, so I used to try to box his style. But the problem with that is I used to try and mimic his persona. So I used to be very flashy and arrogant in the ring, and I used to think I was it in the ring. But now looking back at it, from like a more of a mature point of view, now we look up to the likes of like Muhammad Ali and like Mike Tyson and these
the greats,
and Khabib. And because the thing is, I like the way they conduct themselves. They were more humble and stuff, and they had a purpose. Whereas like now Floyd, he just flashes his money, and I don't really respect that sort of character. Life, you know? I don't respect that character, to be honest now.
Yeah, when you look at them, like you kind of think, what's he doing? You kind of like what you were saying about Chris Eubank Jr. You didn't like the way he was acting before. But then if you see the way he was acting after the fight, he got humbled. He got humbled. He's very quiet, and then you think, And it was the same when he was gonna fight Ben. He was gonna fight Nigel Ben's son. Everyone was backing Nigel Ben's son, but then when they found out that Conor Ben was supposedly on drugs, everyone started backing Eubank. So people change.
People always change.
Like 1 minute everyone will love someone, and then the next minute it just changes, isn't it? They're
But that's why Liam Smith, when I heard him talk and when I saw him fight and the way he conducts himself, I was like, I don't care. That's someone I'd back over Eubank. He's like, look, we'll see. You know, he's very humble in the way he speaks.
But sometimes it's hard to be a humble boxer, because in boxing you have to. It's a business. You
have to sell tickets.
I've talked to a lot of professional boxers, innit? Because I train at the Peacock Gym sometimes, and I've talked to a few pros, and they'll all tell you have to sell tickets, and the best way to sell tickets is to have a personality. Do you know what I'm saying? When you look at boxers that people remember, I can name world champions now, and you would have never heard of them. Because sometimes it comes down to personality, like. You got Prince Nasir, you got Ryan Garcia nowadays. You got these boxers that haven't they're not really humble, but because of their personality, they do so well. So sometimes it's hard to find the balance. You have to sell yourself in it because it's a business.
I think the balance would be outside the ring. You know, you keep it outside the ring. That's all showmanship. Yeah, but when you get in the ring, it's serious. Serious and after humble. Yeah, for me, maybe I don't know how it is in boxing, but I'd still respect those people because you sell the tickets before, but when you get in, you don't do the taunting and stuff like that. So with you, like, do you want to go pro? Because you were saying Khabib as well. Would you get into MMA? But talk about pro first.
So like professional boxing, you get a lot of people. They say they want to go pro and they want to do this and do that as a professional, but you want to win something as an amateur first, because you can go professional and fight on small shows, but sometimes you don't earn enough money to make a good living.
How does someone get into, like, if for the viewers,
right? If
you just go straight to pro,
so
or is there
you could, but now you have to have amateur fights. Before you didn't have to have amateur fights. You'd get fighters that only had, like, there's a boxer called Fabio Wardley. He's the English heavyweight champion. He never had no amateur fights. He had white collar fights. So it's like, some people call it semi-pro, some people call it white collar. Amateur boxers will tell you it's bullshit. But so there's that level of boxing, and then there's the amateurs. Now you have to have about 5-10 amateur fights, and once you've had that, you can go pro straight away. you can go professional, but it's very hard to make money because you need to get signed, you've got to sell tickets, you're going to have managers, promoters, you've got to pay your trainer. So you could go pro and make no money, and it's very difficult. That's why you get journeyman. I don't know if you ever heard the term journeyman.
Like
so
the tomato cans, man.
they call them tomato cans, but they're very tough boxers.
Yeah.
They fight every week, in and out every week against prospects. So maybe about your first 10 fights in
Are
boxing.
they the people who prep up other people?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
like about your first 10 fights in boxing, if you go on a website called BoxRec, any prospect they'll fight journeyman. So their record may be like 5 wins and 100 losses. But they go in the ring to lose. They're not there to win. They let the prospect come in, look good, flashy, throw all their shots.
Oh really?
They're just there to
I don't
do
know
this.
about this. Yeah.
They're just there to cover. And a lot of people don't know about that in boxing. But it's guaranteed money. They'll get $1,000 maybe every week if they fight every week.
Yeah.
And that's their role.
Yeah.
And that's their role.
That's the hidden side of boxing.
That's
Is it
it.
hidden?
It's
Yeah,
not. It's
no,
not
boxing
hidden.
circuit, no.
Box, anyone that does boxing knows, innit? But to the normal person, like I went to a boxing show like last year. Isaac Chamberlain was boxing in Crystal Palace near where I live, and I was watching the fights. And most people, they don't. You get like mums and aunties and uncles and whatever. They come and they watch,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, he's gonna knock him out," blah blah blah. And I'm looking at. I know that's a journey, I'm thinking like, yeah, like he's not there to win. He's just there to cover up and let the other boy work. It's to let the prospect look good.
Yeah.
But when you don't have a good promoter and you don't have a good manager and you didn't have a good amateur career, or you didn't get signed, you have to pay the journeyman as well. You're paying your manager, you're paying.
Yeah, it's
and
a
then
lot
it's
of
tough.
wages. Because
It's
what
tough
it is,
to make a living.
that's the thing that hindered me from becoming a professional. Because what it was when I was weighing out the pros and cons, I was like, right, if I get signed tomorrow, I'm going to have to give 10% to my trainer. I'm going to have to get a strength and conditioning coach. That's another 10%.
Yeah.
I've got a nutritionist, a promoter. So that's like 40% gone.
All straight.
That's why you
straight
need
away.
to have a good amateur career.
A good amateur career.
Unless I win like the elites or... Because people, there's a lot of
If
titles.
he wins
you
the
can
national
win.
championship, I said to him, like, look, you should turn professional. I've got good contacts there. I can get him a contract with like one of the top promoters.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's hard to make
And
money.
especially the way I fight,
It's very hard
I
to
would
make
be a
money.
flyweight if I turn pro, yeah? There's not much money in being... Obviously, boxing isn't just about money. You do it for the passion and stuff. But money plays a big role in life.
Yeah, because if you're going to go put that effort...
If you're going to put all that effort in and be pro, you're going to want to get paid well. And it's harder.
The pinnacle for him is if he can get into the Olympic Games. If he gets into the Olympic Games and wins a medal, potentially, inshallah, then he's on $1 million contract straight away when he turns professional.
I've given myself about 4 years to try to win the elites, so I need to keep stacking up fights.
Yeah.
And then about 3-4 years time from now, if I can win them, then I'll know, cool, I would want to go.
He's got a modest mindset.
But if I don't...
My mindset for him is I'll say to him straight, I'd want him to win the elites in the next like year and a half.
Yeah.
I would say to him that he should just go for the elites. He should
You know,
have 20 fights
yeah.
and just go for it.
I spar boys, I've had about 35 fights, and they say, yeah, I'm going to go pro and do this and do that. And I think, if I'm sparring you and we're having tough spars and equal spars, when you step up the levels, you're going to really find out like how hard it gets. So I want to be 100% sure like I'm very good before
Yeah,
I...
100%
Do you know what I'm saying?
But, okay, what's the repercussions then for people who don't know of like losing their elites? Does it make much of a difference?
You can go. I could go pro tomorrow if I wanted to. I've had enough amateur fights to go pro.
Yeah.
But it's just when you turn pro, you want to have that backing. You want to have.
If you've got backing, it makes your life
If you've got
easier.
backing, you don't need to work. You can just train full time.
Yeah.
But sometimes that makes the difference.
It
Innit?
depends now. We know what it is. Boxing's such a business now that, like I said, I've got guys that box, like headlining bills, some Asian boys, yeah, that I used to box with, and they weren't necessarily, they didn't win any tournaments in the amateurs, but they're promoted by the best promoters. It all comes down to links.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling my little cousin the other day, that it all comes down to links now. When I was boxing, I didn't realise that, because my coaches were always like to me, you need to win a tournament and it's all about talent, but sometimes talent doesn't get recognised. It's all about the links now, because like now, being around like a lot of the big boys in the game, what I've noticed is if he doesn't have to, he can be a mediocre boxer, but
if you've got the backing.
But if he's got the backing and the right contacts, he can get a good contract and he can be boxing on Sky Sports or Box Nation tomorrow for his first fight. But I wouldn't want him to. I wouldn't want him to be like that, where he's relying on the links, because that can take you to a certain level.
And then what happens?
But then that's the thing.
It's about skill after.
That happens to a lot of boxers. They'll win a British title, they win an English title, one of the European belts, but then they won't go further than that.
Yeah.
And then you think it's kind of a waste, isn't it? Like, if I'm gonna go into the boxing to be with the mindset I'm gonna be a world champion, and to have that mindset, I'd want to win something big as an amateur.
You want to go through war before you even go.
You know what I'm saying? you wouldn't be well prepared. You wouldn't step into war unless you're well prepared. You know what I'm saying? So unless I win something really big, I would. That's when I'd think, yeah, cool, I will go pro.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of boys, they have a few amateur fights and they'll be telling you, I'm going to be world champion and this and that. But you have to be realistic. You have to set realistic goals as well.
It's hard out there because the thing is they get protected as well.
Yeah.
Like some fights, like look Anthony Yardy, he's had 12 amateur fights.
But he's done well.
He done well. He's the exception.
exception.
That's he's the only exception. But the rest of them, like, I know that circle because we boxed at the same amateur club for a bit. That circle, there was a lot of other boys that boxed there that had like 12 fights, 5 fights, they turned over, they turned professional. Don't hear about them now.
You don't hear, there's a lot of boxers like that.
There's a lot like that.
Because they just did a couple
even
of fights.
Some that have won national titles that win development.
Yeah.
So like you have developments, which is 0 to 20 fights, championships. Then you have elite, which is 20 plus. So you could have 20 fights and one boy could have like 100.
But you know what it is? You can tell which amateur boxer will be good at the pro game as well.
Okay.
A lot of people don't have, like at Repton, that one of my mates, his name's Mo. Yeah, he's a very good boxer. He's like 3-time London champion, stuff like that. But he has a pro style. Like when you watch him, he picks his shots, he takes his time. But in amateurs, you can't really do that. You've got 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then 3 rounds are fast paced. Even if you're doing 3 minutes or 2 minutes, it's fast paced. You have to throw a lot of shots. So it doesn't suit all the boys. Like some boys take their time. They like enjoying boxing, like that Mayweather kind of style. Amateurs, you can't really do that. You have to have a high work rate. So it depends. It's person to person, innit? Yeah. Sometimes not what you can do as an amateur, as my cousin said. But there's exceptions, but not all the time, innit?
You must be excited though.
Yeah, I just love boxing.
You love boxing. I'd say, you know what, if you found your passion, man, keep that passion.
That's what I'm saying. I just do it because I enjoy it. Like, it's something I like doing. Like, some people like playing video games and doing all, but boxing is what I look forward to. Like, I'll go uni, I'll do whatever, then I know I've got boxing in the evening, I can go and train. I've got a fight in a few weeks.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I used to be like that. You know, I remember my days like that, but it was a lot younger for me. So I had that fight when I was like 16, 17. I remember in my final year of secondary school, I used to go boxing the night before. I used to go to secondary school, and then I remember like in lunchtime I'd go on the computer, I'd watch boxing videos and study boxing. And even in my class, I'd sneak out my phone and watch boxing. I'd pretend I'm listening to math. And I used to like watch boxing all the time, and I used to look forward to boxing. I remember I used to travel like from my house to like 10 miles away on the bus, and I used to cycle down to boxing gyms and walk. And I used to go boxing gyms, go there, finish at night, come home, and then I used to go jog I used to jog like 5 in the morning. I remember when I was young, when I was 17, I used to jog like 5 o'clock in the morning. I used to go on 5-mile runs, then I used to go on like 10-mile runs, then I'll go to the boxing gym, and then I'll go do weights. I used to train like 3 times a week. I used to live in the gym. From like, I would say from 13 to like 19, I lived in the gym. And then when I stopped boxing, I started coaching. Then I started like putting that passion into the coaching. And then I realised like mainly, you know what it actually takes to become a good boxer is mindset.
Yeah.
It's mindset. Providing you have the correct tutelage, if you have a good mindset, and like it's all psychological, because I've had boxers that have gone into the fight and they've on card, like again George, in his first fight he fought someone that had 7 fights. Yeah. 7 fights, and there were like 6 wins and one loss, and that's a hard fight for your first fight. Yeah. And I didn't say to George that's the opponent he's fighting. It was on an away show, and all I done was I was talking to George for about an hour before the fight, and I made him think he's invincible. Yeah. And he went into the fight thinking that, and he won in the first round.
But that, like I said,
it's all mindset, and confidence is a big thing, because you can be so good, but if you haven't got that confidence and that self-belief, then you get found out on the night. That's what happens to a lot of boxers. There was a lot of boxers I fought that are 100 times better than me. Yeah. On paper, they were 100 times better than me. There was 1-2 boxers I fought someone in my own club once. Yeah, he went to a different club. He went to West Ham, and we both fought on the same show. And he used to like get the better of me in sparring. Some days I'd get the better of him, but a majority of the time he would get the better of me in sparring. Yeah. But I remember when the lights were on and there was like about 100 people there only, and I was like relaxing. I remember I was in the corner like slouching like that when the ring announcers were like just saying, right, let's box. Yeah. And he wasn't the same person. It's all about belief.
Yeah, it's about self-belief. You know, I totally agree with you. If you don't have the right belief, and this is why there's a big difference between self-belief and like being arrogant. Yeah. Right? Because you can still say, you know, like you can be humble and still say, you know, I'm not going to lose. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? So it's one of those things, and I think it's finding the right line, having the right people, having the right coach to kind of chip away at the nastiness that could possibly come.
That's why team's important, like we were saying. Like, that's one of the first topics we talked about, is people around you. Yeah, people. It always plays a big impact. Yeah.